Good evening, TradeFlare family. Welcome to the weekly watch list where we break down what happened last week in the stock market as well as give you an idea of what we're looking at into tomorrow. So let's head over to the key points. Now, the first key point that I'm looking at into the next week is Powell and the Fed. So last week we got CPI data and a little bit of digestion towards the end of the week. Now on Wednesday we'll get the FOMC meeting and we'll also get to hear Powell. There's usually a lot of anticipation and a little bit of volatility before these meetings, especially right now with all of the inflation talks. So expect some good volume to trade off of this week. There are a lot of good setups. Another thing is the next key point, and that is that June contracts are expiring on Friday. So the June 18th are the most highly liquid contracts on the option chains for June. Now these key expiration dates usually tend to bring in more volume, more people trading. Combine that with the FOMC as well as some more economic data coming out this week. I think there's going to be a lot of volume. So volume means that we can make some big movements this week. That means we're at all-time highs and we could either get rejected or we could break out. Now I'm also really excited to be watching the banks this week because they've been trending really nicely, and as you can see here on the XLF, banks are sitting right at this 3-month long support trend line. Now the banks sold off a little bit last week, but if they can continue to be bought up at this support trend line, then we can be really bullish, and I think we can start to break out on the SPY. Combine that with a really bullish tech sector, and I think we could have a really good week, and it's all depending on what people are expecting for Powell and the FOMC meeting. So let's head over to the SPY and look at where we are, where we could be heading into the week. So looking at the daily, and as far as last week went, we had a great week. We went to all-time highs on Thursday, and as far as Friday went, we held on to previous all-time highs. And then you see that hammer candle there on Friday showing us that we have some price acceptance above previous all-time highs at 422.83. Now where do I think we could go if we see more buyers? If we do see more buyers, I think we could go to 425.72. Now why is that? That is because if you look at the previous range that we were in, that we used to talk about, it was that 418 range down to 410.50. If you double that range and put it on top of the 418 break, the range doubled is at 425.72 or just that 426 area. So I expect to see some resistance around that 426 area. Now if we do break below Friday's low and we start to look a little bit bearish, I expect to go down and test that 420 area, that range that we saw last week. Looking at the support area there. Now if we do see some volatility, I'm really looking at the top of the previous range at 418 and then that neckline of that double bottom that we saw at 416.50. If we do break below that 416.50, that would again look like a look above and fail scenario, so we'd again target that bottom of the range at 410.50. So let's head over to the watch list, and the first one I have on the watch list is Adobe, ticker symbol ADBE. As you can see, we're breaking out of a year-long range here. We closed above all-time highs on Friday with some nice volume, and I think this thing can continue to break out, and I've seen this thing stuck in a range or a balance for longer than 9 months, and I can see that this thing wants to break out. There's some volume, some buyers ready to take this thing higher, so watch Adobe. Next up, I'm watching Datadog, and I really like this one. It goes kind of with the tech sector and how they're moving. Now, if you look at the daily time frame, we formed a very nice reversed head and shoulders, and we're going up to test that neckline. Now for our target, if we break that 96.52 level, now for our target, we take the distance from the neckline to the low of the second head, so watch this. So by using that distance, my target is $123. So I really want to keep this one on my watch list as this one starts to break out. Watching the July 16th 110 calls. Next up is Disney, and this one looks like it's ready to move. And Disney has been turning into more of a growth company in my opinion. This is one of my long-term investments. This is one of the stocks I like to trade. Now what I really want to look for is the break of this resistance trend line. If we get the break, I think we could head all the way up to 185 with a bump in the road at 181. Next up is Snapchat, and Snapchat looks really good going into this week. Now we've mentioned this in the past, but this is a reverse head and shoulders and a neckline at 65.14. Now if this were to break, we use that same exact targeting method and we get the target at 82.52. So that would be a pretty substantial breakout here if the technicals line up. Now from that perspective, the July $80 calls don't look too bad, especially at only 35 cents right now. So I may be looking to play those contracts on the break of that neckline. Next up is WM, or Waste Management, and this is a value beast that has been taking some consolidation time and has formed a very very pretty pattern for us. Now I'm looking for the break of this resistance trend line on this bullish pennant, which is a continuation pattern, which makes sense because this thing has been on a tear. Now I'm really watching for this thing to break out, especially with the rotation into some valuable companies like this. Now where do I think this thing can go? If we get the break that I want, I think we can head all the way up to 150, 151. It would take some time to get there, but I think it definitely could. So definitely keep your eye on this one headed in the upcoming weeks. So that wraps up this week's weekly watch list. If you got value out of this video, make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on a nightly breakdown or a weekly watch list. If you're looking for a community of traders, consider using the link in the description to join our Discord and upgrade to private TradeFlare Pro. And remember, we're not financial advisors and nor do we claim to be. All of the information inside these videos and inside of our Discord is to be used at the sole discretion of the member or the viewer. The stock market is risky. You could lose money. And don't forget that time is your most valuable asset, so quit wasting it. Get up, get out, and go get it, my friend.